Everybody. I am so pleased that you're here today to turn up your charisma, your warmth, your power, and your presence. I'm Linda Brandt, and charisma is one of my absolute favorite topics, especially using charisma for good. So today you're going to leave with tools to turn up your charisma whenever you want to increase your influence. So I know meetings go better when we all actively contribute. So in that spirit, is there anyone who would be up for leading us in a 1 to 2 minutes of breathing? Raise your real or virtual hand or unmute. And I'm hoping someone's going to volunteer. Great. Now we're going to appreciate that volunteer. Great, thank you. You have totally made my day. So I've learned from an organization called the Primary Shift that the most important element of any gathering is establishing guidelines up front. I'm going to propose these three for today. Be present and engaged. It's going to be more fun and you're going to learn more. So please silence your phone, turn off your notification, close your emails, even if it's painful. Grab a doodle pad or fidget toy if that helps you, and take a moment to do whatever it takes for you to become present. Number two, say what you need, respect other people's needs. So if, for example, you need the captions turned on, please do that now. Sometimes that helps us focus. Sometimes it helps me not speak too quickly. So if you need a break, just go ahead, take a break. If people are speaking too fast, ask them to slow down. There's even a Zoom feature that you can say, I'm just away for a second. Confidentiality. What's private stays here. What's learned, you are welcome to share widely. So that may not come up today, but you never know. And I know we're having kind of a rough time locally. So if you can agree to these three guidelines, please raise your real or virtual hand. Yay, we're all at the same time. I'm Paige. Okay, 1.5 hours today for this topic seems like a luxurious amount of time. That said, I'm going to encourage you to invest in yourself by staying engaged. Is there someone who will be willing to be our chat monitor? The job is to keep an eye on the chat and unmute if there's something that needs my attention. I often don't see it, like right now, I'm sharing my screen. Um, Today, we're going to do some introductions in small groups, talk about then we're going to talk about why charisma is a great life skill and learn how to turn it up so you can be more influential in the world. So, sending you off to those breakout rooms. Some of you love this, some of you don't, but I encourage you to take that chance among 3 or 4 people to say your name and something that you're proud of that you don't often get to talk about or rarely get to talk about. So I'll model that. I'm Linda. I've built a global network of 7,000 people, which a friend recently complimented me on and said I've turned my network into a community. And I've done that through providing opportunities for people to, just going to write that down. Oh, I can't. Okay. I'll remember. Um, I've done that through giving people opportunities to connect in person, online, through directories. So when you're in those groups, talk alphabetical by first name. You'll have a total of 5 minutes. So please make sure that everyone has a chance to talk. All right. Now, you didn't get to meet everybody, but we'll get a chance to introduce yourself in the chat by saying um, something that you're hoping to get from today's session and something that you can give. I'll model that once again. I'm Linda. I want inspiration from all of you, and I want to give you my model of being in the stretch zone whenever there are silences and get more comfortable with that. Always good to know who you're learning from. So to give you a sense of who I am, a colleague recently said I'm the biggest toolkit that she's ever met, and I love sharing ideas that people could actually use and spread. In the last 12 years, I grew the Lean In Together Minneapolis-St. Paul community from 0 to 7,000 people across 30 circles and 6 continents. And I organize about one meeting, online meeting per week. And I was raised to be practical, and I am. I believe that health is the broadest, and I believe in health in the broadest sense, and it's foundation to do anything else. Thus, I'm pleased that I worked for 17 years promoting healthy workplaces in Hennepin County. All right, that's me and me when I'm young, when I was young. We live in a noisy, distracted world with lots of intrusive and addictive technology that unfortunately can make us look like zombies. And charisma, luckily, still cuts through that. So we're going to talk about the 3 elements of charisma, common charisma blockers, the success formula to making ideas sticky, and why turning up your charisma matters. So I learned a lifelong lesson from the song Sesame Street, and it was, which one of these kids is not like the other? Which one of these kids is doing their own thing? Has anyone else been affected by TV in a memorable way? Okay, so what I learned from that TV segment, I knew it was really important for me. And it was important for me because I grew up in a daycare home with 2 brothers and 10 daycare kids. So they're very much like the distracted world that we live in. I saw that there was sometimes more safety in standing out than fitting in. And I also learned do your own thing. I share this story because we all have a different level of comfort standing out or fitting in, and we come by that honestly. And we can, however, change it if we're wanting to change. So, charisma makes you stand out. Charisma is warmth, power, and presence. Um, and you can tell these instantly, even on Zoom. So, for warmth, do they show that they like others? I think this pilot, you can see she likes me, and she also may like others. Are they confident and commanding? I think she is. And do they make others feel seen and heard? She definitely made me feel seen and heard. And have you noticed that? So, around that last one, have you noticed that screens are making presence more and more of a rare skill? So, let's take a little pause here and see if find out what questions you have. Feel free to put them in the chat if you prefer. And now we're going to make it personal because all best education is personal. So, thinking about yourself, warmth, power, and presence. Which of those 3 is currently the weakest for you? And if you could hold up your finger, 1, 2, 3. I think just being aware of these elements goes a long way to strengthening them. So thinking of that weak area, whatever it is, let's take a moment to figuratively turn it up. So choose your element and I invite you to put out your hand and turn like a dial, like music in the olden days. And this is for my somatic coach. So we're turning it up, whether it means smiling or standing more in your power or just putting a distraction away. Turn it up, deciding to be present. Okay, so turning from that weakness to the strengths, which of those 3 is your strength? Seems immodest, but I'm going to say for me, it is power, partly because I got to have executive leadership skills with all those children. So you can either put that word, warm, powerful, present, and change your Zoom name to say that, powerful into Brant, or you can put it in the chat if you prefer. So this is a way that we're just claiming it. Right. So I hope that little break there didn't throw you too off too much, but let me see if I can find my notes. So hands up if you love animals. Who melts when they see babies? Who both? Okay, whatever melts you is what is going to help you around warmth. Warmth can come from your personality, from your life experience, your culture. No matter your default level of warmth that you have can be increased. So I have a friend named Mary who practiced talking to everyone in the cooing voice as if she was in love with them. So if this is a weak area for you, consider just, expand beyond your things that light you up. Um, whether it's babies in strollers or puppies, or maybe it's, nature. So since we're all muted, and I'll bring out the stuffed animal here. Hi. Oh, hi, Brunsy. How are you today? So I can change my voice a little bit. So go ahead and practice your Kuwait voice for a second. All right. So warmth for others starts with warmth for yourself. Self-compassion is fundamentally about treating yourself as kindly as you would treat a friend. So who here has heard of Kristen Neff and her teaching on self-compassion? Just raise your hand. I'm going to show a 1.5 minute video.
For me, I think that probably the overall picture is that self compassion is an amazing source of strength and emotional resilience. And it's funny because a lot of people are afraid to be self compassionate because they think it's weak, right? Self compassion is for sissies. If you look at the research, you'll think again, because we know that people who are more self-compassionate have much more resilience to get through difficult times. Just to give one small example, we did a study of veterans coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan. We measured their self-compassion levels, and we also measured whether or not they developed post-traumatic stress disorder. And what we found is soldiers' levels of self-compassion was more predictive of whether or not they developed PTSD 1 year later than how much combat exposure they faced. So think about that for a second, what that says. That says it doesn't matter as much what happens to you as how do you relate to yourself when times are difficult. Are you an inner ally or an inner enemy? Now, most people are inner enemies. That voice in their head is constantly cutting them down, saying you're not good enough, you screwed up, I hate you. All these voices in our head, we're constantly harming ourselves. What happens when you have a voice instead that supports you, that says, hey, I love you anyway, it's okay, I'm here for you, I'll support you, what do you need right now? When that's the voice inside your head, it's an incredible source of strength and resilience, and that's what the research shows.
All right. Thank you for your attention to that. If you have thoughts on that, feel free to put them in the chat. There is a mindful self-compassion workbook that I recommend as well if this is something that is of interest to you. All right. So turning to the second charisma element, most of us need encouragement to act more powerfully than we currently do. I'll read some slogans and um, give me the thumbs up rating as I read them. And some are tend to be humorous. Due to personal reasons, I will be shining brightly and unapologetically for the foreseeable future. If it resonates with you, give the thumbs up. If not, practice being boldly here. Be confident and decisive. You're the puddle, and they're the ocean, and they prefer puddles. Don't take it personally. Thumbs up, thumbs down. How about these? You own this hill, take it. From the Portland Marathon. Dare to be powerful. It's a local photo. Bet on yourself. It's a little edgy for the Midwest. Even killing machines need naps. All right. So power means standing tall and owning your strengths. And one technique that I've been spreading is called the yes and response to compliments. So I'm going to show a super short video of Rebecca and myself introducing this idea. Here we go. I'm Linda, and I often get complimented on innovation.
Linda, I attended your Lean In groups for the past year. I think you're an incredible, innovative leader, and I'm just honored to be a part of your group. I think that you're changing generations to come with your influence on leadership and the approach that you're bringing.
Thank you. And actually, I've been getting that feedback the last week, and I think it's because my mom was unusual, and so I've learned to be unusual.
Awesome.
Can we do high five?
My name's Rebecca Cooper, and one of the things I often get complimented for is communication.
Duh, we're here because of you communicating so distinctly that we said hit record when she says these brilliant things. I have no doubt that my group is not the only group that's been changed by you and your excellent communication skills.
Thank you so much, Linda. I really appreciate that. Communication has always been a value of mine. It's something that I've made an effort to develop, and I'm glad I'm able to contribute.
I'm Linda, and I often get complimented. All right. So that is something I'd like to practice with all of us. And if I could have someone willing to model this with me, and so you would tell us something that you are often complimented on, then I will praise you and you will accept it, and we'll do a high five. And then we'll send you off to a breakout room so that you can practice it yourself. You'll say, I often get complimented on, and the person will say, oh my goodness. And then you can make it up if you don't have any evidence. And then the person will expand upon the compliment, and you'll do the virtual high five. So that is what you would do. Okay, Maria, thanks for doing blah, blah, blah. Great. Send you off to breakout rooms. All right, next thing. So in the last decade, I've been surrounding myself. We're going to stick with this power thing for a moment longer because I think it's key for a lot of us. Last decade, I've been surrounding myself with leaders who've moved to new countries, quit jobs, left toxic relationships, taken on big challenges. So to move us from fear to courage, consider this question. What would you do if you weren't afraid? Feel free to share in the chat. And if anyone is brave, they can share it out loud. So one thing I would do if I weren't afraid is be bolder. And I often talk about making videos and sending them as I apply for jobs. So I'd like to do more of that, like not wait for them to ask. All right, let's move on to the topic of presence. So presence is being fully there. This is Evelyn, Grand Forks, North Dakota, on a particularly good day and very present. So have you noticed that you also feel have you noticed how you feel after someone listens to you when you've been laughing, crying, having fun, or even just taking a cold shower or doing something you really enjoy? What brings you back to the present? Share that in the chat. First thoughts are really great. For Evelyn, I think it is we see here at the co-op. Unfortunately, it's closed, but yeah, for me, it's lifting weights in the gym and giving myself the space to let my mind just wander and solve problems. Also, be curious if anyone has taken a mindfulness class or practices meditation. Give a wave. Okay. So, what's a situation in which, let's get to the practical nitty-gritty here. What is a situation where you want to have influence? Where do you want to use your charisma? Is it a pitch? Is it friend making, dating, interviews, presentations, social media, or something else? And for me, it's definitely job interviews. So put in the chat anything that comes to mind or come off mute. And then think about once you have your situation, given that situation, what gets in your way? What's blocking you from being warm, powerful, and present? So if I think about my job, I'm moving into a new field, so I feel like it's a little harder to be powerful. So what makes me be maybe cold, checked out, and weak would be like, oh shoot, that's a hard question for me. But I'm going to talk about some of the common charisma blockers. So most people in the US are socialized as Protestants, whether you grew up Protestant or not. And one of the dominant patterns for Protestants is to send off the robot instead of yourself, instead of you're showing your true self. Does that sound right to people? Hi, I'm Linda. And why do we do that? We do this to avoid embarrassment and humiliation. And one way to be less robotic is to risk feeling embarrassment more often. So it doesn't have to turn into humiliation. You can say, oops, I made a mistake. In a very similar way, those who are raised middle class or been taught through their jobs to be more middle class often overvalue conformity. We travel in circles where middle class rules for proprietary and fitting in, often called manners, can make us kind of boring and careful rather than warm and relaxed. Some people might also call this white culture, but I'll stay away from that today. So should we go off into breakout rooms and practice being as boring as possible? Unresponsive, non-smiling, no inflection. Anyone game? Should we just do it here? I am here. I don't want to be here. All right, and that charisma blocker is from how we're socialized based on our gender. So girls are often taught to put others first, settle for less than what we want, play it safe, be small, non-threatening, shrink. This can make you pretty boring, weak, perfectionistic, and timid. This is my experience. You may have a different your mileage may vary. And as boys, uh, we're taught to suppress our masks or mask our emotions, compete at all costs, never show weakness, project confidence even when we don't feel it. And this can make us appear disconnected, aggressive, or inauthentic. Women often struggle with the power element. So getting to the practical, they may hesitate to take up space with authority. Men frequently struggle with warmth, had difficulty showing vulnerability, empathy, genuine emotion. I think part of what we're seeing with the kind of men who are highlighted is they have a little more access to their emotions, and we all like, okay, maybe things are going to be okay. Women and girls are socialized to ask, could you, maybe, perhaps, kind of this weak language instead of what I would challenge anyone who struggles with power to start sentences with, I have something important to say. You have no idea what you're going to say next. You can borrow other people's confidence. And then for men, I encourage you to jettison your robot, leave it at the side row, and risk noticing and sharing how you feel. Partner and I end the day with feelings. How do you feel? Appreciations. What do you need? Any apologies? And what are you doing to take care of yourself? So your unique challenges are maybe different. There's lots of different ways to work on these charisma blockers. Being present, be meditation, getting enough sleep, putting your phone away. And then for warmth and power, so for warmth, it can be cultivating playfulness and laughter. Also, it's a great way to be present and warm. Can bring people together. Maybe you should learn a few jokes. I'm going to put some in the chat for you. There's a great book called The Power of Fun. She talks about real fun. Catherine Price talks about playfulness, focus, and connection. And also, you can't be what you haven't seen. So I didn't grow up eating salad, for example. I have coworkers who ate big salads and roasted vegetables. That had a huge impact on my eating. The same is true of people who model zest for living and they act powerfully and present. So watch them and learn. So lastly, uh, once you have your ways of staying present and fun, community, take more risks. Step out of your comfort zone. Move into the stretch zone. Make mistakes, blunder big. You don't have to have it all figured out. So consider trying some experiments. Fix my notes. I will do that. Great. So once you've turned up your power, presence, and warmth, what messages do you want to share with people and have them remember them especially? How can you make your messages sticky? So fortunately, Chip and Dan Heath wrote a great book called Made to Stick that describes the elements, and I often use it in my AI prompts. So let's read this list together out loud and even make a hand gesture or face that kind of captures the word for you. So if you don't mind unmuting, we can say simple, simple, unexpected, concrete, credible, emotional, and stories. Okay, thank you for playing along. The made to stick model I often have around when I'm doing writing, especially. It's great for communication. A friend, Jill, also said when she's telling a story, she says what emotion she feels. That alone can make it stickier and more engagement. So if you think of the story you want to tell all the time, start with, I was so freaked out when cannot believe this happened to me. So an ad agency guy said, Bill Bernbach, a quote from his, a dull truth will not be looked at, an exciting lie will. This is what good, sincere people must understand. They must make their truth exciting and new, or their good works will be born dead. It's a little dramatic, but so think about what's one thing you learned about charisma, charisma blockers, or stickiness, and drop it in the chat. And I'll end with a story. I once was at a workshop led by a brilliant lawyer from Texas, Diane Schisk, and she said, we welcome here in this organization the widest range of people because we never know who will come up with the solutions that will change everything in the right direction. So I want you to consider that you are that person that Diane was talking about that can change lives for the better. Your contributions are valuable. They should be known by a large group of people. So go forth, let your warmth, power, and presence, and make your ideas sticky. So if you have time, this is the pinnacle. I'd love for a few people to turn up your charisma as you share what you learned. Embodying these elements. I learned this. This has been a wonderful group for me. I feel inspired as I hoped I would. Thank you for being so kind, engaged, and powerful in your sharing. You can explore the topic with these, particularly the video is excellent. You can add your own resources. My dad would have added Toastmasters. And if you have a chance to tell others, I mean, reading these, one thing that's great about reading these resources is you'll get to tell other people about them. And I'd also love for you to take a minute right now while it's on your mind to give the college and your organization some feedback. Thanks for your warmth, power, and presence. Stop sharing.